Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Voters trickling in polling stations as 4 by-elections get underway. Angry staff at Jewel Runaway Bay walked off the job. And later in sports, Jamaica's Scorpions and Barbados Pride to do battle in regional Super 50 Cup final. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kerry-Ann Simpson. Here are the details. Workers employed to Jewel Paradise Cove in Runaway Bay, St. Anne are currently staging a protest demanding higher wages and better working conditions. Placards waved by disgruntled workers at Jewel's Paradise Cove in Runaway Bay, St. Anne marks the second protest this week and the fifth by hotel workers in recent weeks. One of the employees expressed concerns and called for more support from the representatives in charge.
We cannot be working for a company for several years under a contract. That doesn't make sense. The same company that you are paying, the American or whatever, $15 an hour. You come here and want to pay us $15 for the whole day. It's like a joke thing. You see me? So we are here and we are demanding that they do better in the hotel system all around. The government need to step up too. Because they sell we out like we are scapegoat.
Them keep the hotel running and they're getting $2 an hour. It's a disgrace. The hotel can afford, with a $4.4 billion US industry, the hotel can afford to give them 100% wage increase. 100%, and they should ask for no less than 100% because that's $4. $4 is still below minimum wage in the United States.
Close to 200 workers walked off the job and made their way to the main street in Runaway Bay. After staying there for a while, they made their way back to the property for a meeting. TVJ News understands that the hotel's management attempted to convince the workers to resume their duties, but they refused. This week, workers at Excellence Oyster Bay in Trelawney also protested, demanding better wages. Last week, staff at the Ibura Star Hotel and Secrets and Breathless Resorts in St. James staged similar protests over wage issues. Additionally, last month, employees at Royalton in Negril, Westmoreland stayed off the job to demand higher wages. 2 females, one of which was being sought by the police for more than a year, are now in custody. They've been charged for simple larceny. They've given their names as Tanisha Rose, 41-year-old of Penwood Road address, and Nicole Davis, 47, of Seaview Gardens. The 2 were held close to midday on Thursday by undercover police at the intersection of Barry Street and Matthews Lane. Several vendors in the downtown area say one of them is a well-known pickpocket who operates mainly in the downtown Kingston Market District on Thursdays and Saturdays. They allege she targets people doing business at wholesales and other businesses by cutting their bags, stealing money and other personal belongings. Police sources say both City Center and Darling Street police stations have an interest in talking to her. Persons who may have been victims of robbery are being asked to make a report at the police stations. Despite some major setbacks in the tourism sector which impacted the country's arrivals, the ministry is painting a positive outlook for the winter tourist season. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett also provided more details on how the strike by workers at airplane manufacturer Boeing has impacted the country's numbers.
The tourism sector has been reeling from a series of disruptions this year, which include travel advisories, U.S. presidential elections, and in recent weeks, protests from hotel workers.
We are accustomed to having disruptions, but we have built the capacity to respond quickly, to recover, and to recover well, and to move on.
Jamaica welcomed some 3.4 million visitors so far this year. Not much growth when compared to the same period last year, but with several new flights added in recent weeks, the tourism ministry is projecting that the 2024 winter tourist season will be better than last year. In the midst of the positive outlook are concerns about the unavailability of airline seats. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett explained.
Airlines are ordering 75 planes and getting 25, ordering 25 and getting 1. And then the maintenance groups are also unable to do the overhauling of the engines on a timely basis. As a result of which, less seats are being made available. And Jamaica suffered that. We got some 20% less seats this year than last year.
According to reports, more than 33,000 machinists who work on the best-selling 737 MAX jet, as well as the 767 and 777 wide-bodies, have been on strike since September 13 as the workers demand a 40% wage increase. They returned to work on November 12 after an 8-week strike left the plant sitting idle. Despite the setbacks, Mr. Bartlett is optimistic.
Jamaica is not exempted from these disruptions. But I just want us to know that we are going to overcome our disruptions, and we are not going to be driven by the naysayers and the neighbors of negativism and those who see disruptions as a means for political exploitation. We are going to come out of our disruptions, and we're going to grow and be strong as an indomitable force in this country and in the world.
Mr. Bartlett was speaking at a Hotel Workers Awards ceremony at the Sanders Hotel in St. Anne recently. Anthony Lugg, TVJ News.
The police in St. Anne are reporting that major crimes are down. Head of the St. Anne Police, Senior Superintendent Dwight Powell, says the division has recorded an overall reduction of 14% for major crimes. Since the start of the year, a total of 42 murders were recorded when compared to 75 in the same period last year. SSP Powell, however, says the division has been closely monitoring another category of crime.
Years since we have been seeing some 62% of our crime being related to conflict, domestic related issues across the parish. So we have introduced a number of community intervention measures to curtail the commission of that category of crime.
SSP Powell says a number of tactical approaches have been adopted to help curtail crime. In the meantime, he is assuring residents that the police are working to address other areas of crime in the parish.
We are working relentlessly with a view to see how best we can curtail, especially the breaking offense going into the festive season. So I want to assure the residents of St. Anne that the police team in St. Anne, we are quite aware of what needs to be done, and we have the wherewithal to get it done. So we are giving you already 42.5% reduction in murders, 14% overall reduction in major crime, and we will continue to press the business on to ensure that the duties that we have is seriously achieved.
It's time for a break. Stay with us, more local stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. To news now on the 4 by-elections now underway. It's been 5 hours since polling stations opened, and for the most part, voters are trickling in. Our coverage begins in South Trelawney, where the JLP's Marissa Dalrymple-Philibert is making a political comeback after resigning as MP last year. Our reporter Kimberly Petty is in the constituency.
Thanks, Kerry. I'm here at the Alberton Primary School, which is one of the 96 polling divisions here in Southern Trelawney. Voting has been very smooth so far. I've been here for the last 40 minutes and I've seen more than 20 voters coming in. Just to remind you, there are 2 persons contesting the by-elections here today. The JLP's Marissa Dalrymple-Philibert and independent candidate Lloyd Gillings.
South Trelawney belongs to Jamaica Labour Party. No PNP, no other part. I am a big farmer. And I love Mama D. Mama D is our star. South Trelawney belongs to Jamaica Labour Party. Senator Mark Goldie.
We've cited Marissa Dalrymple Philibert earlier this morning as she drove through Ulster Spring and waved to her supporters. We understand that Gillings is expected to show up here at the Albertown Primary School to cast his vote. We've also been at the Albertown High School where voting was pretty slow. There were no traffic, no long lines or anything to that sort. Kerry will continue to track the happenings here in Southern Trelawney, and once something newsworthy pops up, we will be sure to inform you. It's back to you in studio.
Thanks, Kimberly. Now, the by-election in the Ainantown division is the one to watch, as it is being contested by both political parties. Dwayne Anderson has our update.
Currently, I'm standing just outside the gate of the Trout Hall All-Aid School here in the Ainantown division. And if you're listening, you're wondering, why is he in Trout Hall when the election is in Ainantown? Well, Trout Hall is one of the bigger communities in the wider Ainantown division. Obviously, Ainantown community is one of the communities here. You also have James Hill, and as I mentioned, Trout Hall. And I'm just outside the school, and as is customary with elections here in Jamaica, schools tend to be like the prime areas for voting. It's one of the polling stations here, like several other schools. It's one of the polling stations here in the division. Since I've been here, I've been observing voters coming in and out very slowly, but they are making their way in and out to cast their ballots. Just to my right, you'll also observe there are some tents, 2 tents set up to white tents. Workers from both parties are there. Their role here is key today. They'll help the voters who come in to vote, to check off their names, to determine if they are to vote at this particular polling station. And if they are to vote here, they'll check their name, send them in to vote, and they vote. Process has been smooth, no complaints so far from the voters. The PNP is a little further down the road. You may not be able to see because there's a van there, but they are right there, Jamaica Labour Party, closest to me. Since I've been here, I've also been speaking with some members of the leadership of both parties. They are here on the ground to ensure that things go smoothly today. So far, no complaints from their end. So also, it's worth noting that it's a pretty hot, sunny day here in the Ainantown division, which is in stark contrast to nomination day when we were here, when it was cloudy and rainy. And usually when it rains on election day, that tends to have an impact on how voters turn out. With a bright sunny day like today, we imagine that won't be a problem as it stands right now. But what is worth noting for today is the bad roads here in the Ainantown division. One of these places where the communities really do not have a lot of good roads. Some communities, quite frankly, do not have any road. So it will be interesting to see how the runners, the people who drive the cars to go get the voters to come to the polling stations, or they're able to navigate these roads, bad roads, quickly to get the voters here and back home. I've also been speaking with supporters from both parties, and this is what they have to say about the election exercise.
In terms of development for the community, I like to see better development, and so that
like what in particular, like what road, what you want,
especially road. Yeah, that is the major thing right now. We don't have any good roads and stuff like that, so we'd like to see better representation. And in terms of road jobs, there are a lot of persons who are not working, so we need employment for the youth them.
Last thing, how was the process voting a while ago?
Very smooth.
We have put a nail in a master mark coffin today. This is the first nail in his coffin until we come to the general.
Well, I have some soup, I prepare for the labor right there, you know. Yeah. And see TDJ man in my part, I have to get a supporter too.
At least one of those supporters talking about, despite supporting different parties, there's no need for separation because we're all really just one big people. But on the topic of separation, this particular road here, the James Hill Main Road, it is quite curious. It separates 2 divisions. On this side, it's really a tale of 2 communities, really. On this right-hand side, if my cameraman will follow me, the members of this household, they're just inside chilling, just enjoying their typical Friday. They are members of the Frankfield division. But on this side, just across the road, separated by the James Hill Main Road, is the Ainantown division. And it's really, as I said, a tale of 2 communities. A lot of activity, political excitement, all going on the left-hand side and on the right-hand side. People who are in the Frankfield division are just enjoying their typical Friday because they do not have a vote in the Ainantown division. So pretty interesting here. But I'm in the Ainantown division for today. I'll be checking out what is really happening here in the area, and anything that is newsworthy, I'll be sure to share it with you guys. It's back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Dwayne. Now we'll have comprehensive coverage of today's by-elections in primetime news at 7. It's now time for the Business Minute.
The assets of the Jamaica Stock Exchange climbed by $411.8 million, or 13.9%, to $3.37 billion as at September 30 this year. This was mainly due to an increase in its trade and other receivables. Meanwhile, the JSE's total equity jumped by $331 million, or 13.80%, when compared with September 30, 2023. Further afield, PDD Holdings, the Chinese owner of online shopping platforms Temu and Pinduoduo, has reported disappointing sales and profit as Chinese consumers continued to hold back amid an economic slowdown. U.S.-listed shares of the e-commerce giant fell nearly 11% on Thursday following the announcement. It comes after PDD's main rivals in its home market, Alibaba and JD.com, also posted underwhelming results in the September quarter. Consumer confidence in China has taken a hit from a crisis in the country's property sector and high levels of youth unemployment. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Kalisha Williams.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, the World Bank has approved a $54 million project to support Barbados' recovery from Hurricane Beryl, which struck the island in July. The Beryl Emergency Response and Recovery Project will focus on rebuilding critical infrastructure, aiding the fishing industry, and strengthening disaster preparedness. This initiative is the first in Latin America and the Caribbean to use the World Bank's Rapid Response option. Prime Minister Mia Mottley emphasized the importance of not just rebuilding, but rebuilding with resilience to future climate threats.
And we head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report. Welcome back to the Midday News, and we do apologize for the absence of our Midday Sports Report. That concludes the Midday News package. I'm Carrie-Ann Simpson. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.